Recording. Recording. In the rivers of mine. Let's start the video, shall we? Enough fucking around. Okay. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kate, if you're new here. And today is a video that I do every year, which is my top 5 books of the year. This year was more difficult because I had a lot fewer books to choose from than normal years. Normally I read somewhere in the like 60 to 70 range, maybe 80. This year I read 36. But we're gonna have a whole year wrap-up stats deep dive video coming out later. So for now, we're just going to focus on the positive, and we're going to talk about the top 5 books that I read this year. So starting off strong with Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. I still don't know how to talk about this book, even though I've brought it up like 2 or 3 times on my channel. It is experimental. It is fantastical. It has to deal with like African gods and the idea of being a person with gods born inside of you and how that kind of creates these separate personalities. It's also about this person who is, you know, queer in a variety of ways, including gender ways that may have given me some gender feelings. You know, they are attracted to multiple people of multiple genders, and they themselves feel that they have multiple genders inside of them, and there was just a lot of things happening on it. Big trigger warnings for this one, but gorgeous, beautiful. I loved it. It took a little bit for me to get into it because the pacing and the writing style, since it's mostly told through the point of view of these gods, it's very like detached, but it's so worth sticking with. And this was one of those that I had to read in like little chunks because my brain power was lowered this year. But it's so worth reading. It's so good. Oh yeah, so I'm realizing all 5 of these books are gay in some way, so just roll with it. Okay, so next on the list is The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I started a reread of this whole trilogy. I still have not read book 3 because I am not emotionally prepared for book 3, because book 3 is devastating. But I got through book 2, and I do think I like book 2 a little bit more than book 1. I know some people prefer it the other way because they're more into like the politicking and court intrigue of the first book, which is great. But the way that she handles writing from the perspective of a person who is mostly blind is so well done. And it's just another one of my favorite things about like the rise and fall of divinity and polytheism versus monotheism. The whole series is so good about, you know, systemic injustices, but also about these really amazing relationships and the power of gods, but also like how they are limited. It's so good. It's just, and also the gods are super queer. Like the humans tend to mostly fall into straight patterns, but the gods don't give a fuck. They're so queer. It's great. Okay, so next up is a trilogy of a gay historical romance series that I read this year. It is the Magpie Lord series, the Magpie Archives what is it? It's the something series by KJ Charles. I have a picture up here anyway. A Charm of Magpies. That's the overarching title. Isn't that delightful? So this one is, I want to say Regency England, possibly early Victorian, but it is a relationship between 2 men, and it is also a fantastical historical fiction romance thing. So there is this sort of whole underworld of magic that gets explored in this trilogy. And of this couple, it just has this trope that I really like of this sort of melding of like a blood heritage and a magical talent and sort of creating this new like paragon. Anyway, you know how there's this thing in like Terry Pratchett does this a lot where there will be this like embodiment of a concept? That's kind of what I'm talking about. But anyway, this series has romance and magic and murder mysteries, and it's a great time. Yeah, they get together in book 1, and then they stay together through books 2 and 3, and them breaking up is not really a thing. It's more just they have to deal with problems outside of their relationship. They go quickly, they're each pretty short, and they're delightful. So, there you go. Next on this list was the last book that I read this year. It took me a very long time to read because it is chonky. I mean, it only exists on the internet. It's like a web novel thing. Someone did do like an unofficial printout, and they had to do it in like multiple volumes because it was too big for one. Anyway, it is a Chinese web novel by the same author who did the web novel that The Untamed was based off of. If you have watched or heard of that show, she wrote the book version of that, which is like MDZS is the Chinese acronym. The English title is the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, I think. I don't know why they didn't just call it the Grandmaster of Necromancy. But anyway, I haven't actually read that one. I'm just saying it's the same author. So what I finally read was TGCF / Heavenly Official's Blessing. This is... Oh, I have so many feelings. I finished it yesterday, and I was kind of in book hangover for the rest of the day. Oh my god, it's so good. So this one, I watched The Untamed and really enjoyed it, by the way, but this book is something special. For one thing, the translation into English is actually well done. A lot of them are just done by someone where English is clearly not their first language. So the literal translation is there, but the natural flow of the English language is not. Which just requires a lot of internal editing. Anyway, this one's really good, and what's special about it is that the main characters, when they meet in the present-day timeline, there's more about them meeting in past timelines, but when they meet in the present-day timeline, they have an immediate and very gratifying, deep emotional intimacy. And essentially, they just kind of immediately move in together and get married. Before anything even happens. Yeah, it's great. One of the main characters is an immortal who used to be the crown prince of this country. He rose to immortality through cultivation and demon fighting, etc., and then was cast down when there was like a war and things going on with his homeland. His homeland was destroyed. He did eventually rise up a second time, was immediately cast down again, and then the present timeline begins when he ascends again for a third time. The other half of the couple is the king of ghosts and demons. So one is essentially a disgraced god, and one is the king of all demons. It's delightful. I'm not 100% sure where you can actually find a copy of this, because essentially a friend gave it to me because it just exists online for free in Chinese, and then people have translated it for free into English. I might be able to find a link. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description below. But at any rate, absolutely delightful novel. And if you have the stamina to read many, many hours of historical Chinese drama, it pays off. Hi.
Hi! Are you still filming?
I am still filming. Figured I'd just take a break while you're making noise on the stairs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm trying to be quiet.
It's okay.
Okay.
Do you want to come get a kiss before you go?
I guess.
You guess.
I guess.
Bye.
It's gonna have lipstick on me though.
Yeah, you're probably going to want to wipe that off.
Oh my god. Instant.
Well, yeah. That's how this color works.
Okay, got it.
Alright.
Alright, I'm gonna go listen to murder stories.
Sure. I know how you are about your true crime. You should tell the internet what your best book this year was.
Best book this year.
Yeah, what was the best book you read?
Oh. Well, I know maybe.
Yeah.
Head Full of Ghosts.
Head Full of Ghosts? What is that? I don't remember that one.
It's really good.
Non-fiction? Fiction?
It is fiction.
Fiction. Oh, really?
Horror.
That's
That
different
is
for you.
Very different for me. It is horror.
Sure, that checks out.
But it's about it's like a possession story.
Okay.
But even by the very end, you can't really tell if the person who was possessed was like actually possessed by a spirit or was just suffering from like mental illness.
And what was your least favorite book of the year?
Oh, that's more fun. Isn't there a book I like couldn't even finish? Oh, yeah. That book, that was like Mad Mary. And it was nonfiction.
Oh, yeah.
It like marketed itself as like about how she went mad and murdered her mother.
Right.
It was actually a paragraph at the beginning about murdering her mother, very like matter of fact. And then that night she killed her mother. And then the rest of it was her brother keeping her out of insane asylums despite her deteriorating mental health. All the while, when she had good days, she actually became like a prolific children's literature publisher, like her and her brother. So that was really what the book was about. Their publishing of children's books.
Yeah.
Which like someone probably finds interesting.
But was not what you thought you were reading.
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was not interesting. You're not going to have this on there, which is the disembodied voice.
I'll figure it out later. I'll figure it out later if I want to put that in or not.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Come kiss me.
I just got the lipstick off. Can I kiss your cheek? Bye.
Bye.
I love you.
I love you too. You're cute.
You're cute.
Anyway, the last of my top 5 of the year is another one that's gay and devastating. It's Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth. I usually try to wait until series are finished to include them in my top 5, but these are just such fucking standouts from the year. Like, other than Heavenly Official, I think if I had to pick a top 2, it would be these and Heavenly Official's Blessing as my top 2 of the year. Because they're so queer and they're so emotionally devastating and they're weird and they're fantastical and they both have ghosts in them. This one is a lot more science-y, but they're both gay and ghosts. Apparently that's my thing. Yeah. This trilogy, or yeah, this series has been talked about a ton on BookTube, so I'm kind of assuming most people already know what it's about, but if you do not, Gideon is the dirtbag lesbian swordsman that we have all been crushing over for decades. And Harrow is the genius necromancer heir to the house that Gideon has been forced to serve. And then they get summoned by the Emperor to go do a conclave thing. And really, honestly, that's all I can say about it, because I don't want to spoil anything else for you, except that one of the things I love about these books is that they're such fucking dirtbags. Like, so, a lot of queer women fiction, I feel like it's a little bit sanitized. Like, no one's allowed to have bad opinions or to make really messy, stupid mistakes. These people are messy. These people are emotionally dumb. And I love them so much. Super imaginative world, super cool concept. Like, this book took me for a ride because we basically completely throw out everything we know about book 1, and what they do is completely crazy. Like, this book is weird and like stretches the bounds of what we sort of think of as fantasy versus science fiction. And then this one is just takes it 3 steps further. So they're so good. They're so good. And the 3rd book is coming out in 2021. I will absolutely need to read that as soon as possible, although I might reread these 2 before then because so much happened that I might just need to refresh my memory on it because it's very intense. And I love it. So, those were my top 5 for the dumpster fire that was the year 2020. tell me how your reading went. Did you get to read it all? Did you read a whole lot more than you normally do? I feel like it kind of tends to fall on those two extremes. Like, people either really read a lot or they really barely read it all. I'm more on that end. But listen, we were all doing what we had to. If you managed to read anything, tell me what your favorite book was in the year, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!